I just got this new brushless Ryobi toolkit. Comes with a saw, a drill, and a driver. I've really been wanting to try out the new Ryobi brushless tools. The impact driver is a lot shorter and better. The skill saw should have more power. I'm not too excited about the drill, but it'll be fun to test out on the inertial dyno. This also comes with the new plus HP batteries. So anyway, let's get this box open. Alright, let's see what's inside. So I got the new brushless tool set, and I'm going to test out the drill. I already tried this out on the inertial dyno, and I think I need a lighter flywheel because it just overcurrents. It does have a higher peak torque, but it's hard to measure that. So I'm going to do a different test. I'm going to use one of these bits and see how long it takes to drill through there. And also to see if I can drill, how big of a bit I can drill with on high speed. It's a little bit unfair because this drill is faster than the old one, or the even older drill. So we're going to see how this does. I know this one has more torque than this one. The question is how much more. It is also a bit lighter. So it's lighter and more powerful. So, and quite a bit shorter. So if space this direction is ever an issue to you, the shorter drill is going to be a lot nicer. So let's get started. I'm also just going to try two different batteries, my standard 4 amp hour P108 and then the HP battery. So yeah, no cutout despite it's all jamming up with chips. Again, I've got a large chunk of hemlock. It's a dry hemlock. Let's see. There's a knot there. I'll stay away from the knot. That should be away from that knot. smoking. Alright, let's stop before I break my new drill. Alright. Boy, that's stuck in there good. Alright, well. Try the old one on speed 1. Yeah, that's not happy. So I used this drill to turn a big paddle mixer while mixing thin set, and it did it, but I could tell it was getting hot. It was blowing hot air out, and it just started to get that little bit of whiff of burning. So I stopped and switched over to the old Black & Decker solid metal, lots of heat sinking in that thing, and it had no trouble with it, just running. It didn't even seem to get warm. Sure, it would get warm eventually, but so the duty cycle on that drill, even though it has less straight up torque than this one, it'll run at a high torque for longer. This one would definitely melt. And this one, you try to run that at full torque, and it'll definitely catch on fire or melt. So, but a lot of power. I'm pretty impressed with that, drilling that hole. So I tried drilling the big 2-inch holes with the 2 different Ryobi drills I have, and found out that the brushless tool does have significantly more torque. Decided to see how it compares to this old Black & Decker. I don't know what year this thing is, but it's pretty old. It turns slower than the Ryobi. It turns at 375 RPM, and the Ryobi is like 500. Same thing happened with the Ryobi. I wasn't able to get it to back up. That one drilled like 3 3/4 inches before it stalled, and the Ryobi Brushless drilled 5 inches. So Ryobi Brushless has more torque than this thing, although this is just slightly warm and no smoke came out of it. So it's got that advantage over the Ryobi. So let's take these apart and see what the insides look like. So you can see a lot of the space savings is taken up by having the motor be shorter. See this motor, the brushes, see there's that stuff that's brush material coming off. The switch, not a bad. Trigger switch is smaller, but that makes sense because this trigger is not actually switching anything high current. You can see it's just got little wires running to it. So all this is a controller or potentiometer, so it's just controlling, you know, the microprocessor board. That's connected straight to the drill, straight to the motor, so there's a board here that comes right out to here. So this is all one unit, all gobbed up with stuff so you can't take a look at it. Let's see, where is it warm after running it? It's not warm there. The board is not warm. Yeah, it's warm up by the motor itself. The motor is pretty toasty. So that's where it's going to burn out. Is the motor. That makes sense. Let's see. Box to there. the gearbox is shorter, although it seems like it's mostly the chuck and the after. So these are both leaking grease out of the gearbox. This one more so. So eventually you're going to run out of grease. Whether or not the motor dies first or you run out of grease first, who knows. Interesting that there's no fasteners holding the motor to the gearbox at all, relying on the casing. And this casing, which I'm dropping the screws everywhere, is ABS, so that's not fast. It is covered in coating, so this will probably crack easier. Let's see, I'm dropping the screws everywhere. The old one was ABS also. Yes, and this motor housing is PA6. So it's a glass fiber reinforced PA6. Bearing on the back. Good size seal bearing. Same bearing on the front. Look at how small that rotor is. It's amazing that it puts out that much torque. So the rotor here is hot. That's warm. And in here, oh, that's surprisingly not warm in there. Looks similar to the other saws. These windings are pretty sloppy looking. They're not wound very neatly. Watching one of AVE's videos, and he took apart a Milwaukee, and the windings were much nearer in how they were wrapped, but there was some elastic in there keeping everything aligned. Yeah. This outer casing is where they must be MOSFETs or controllers in here somewhere. Oh, they're probably on the back of this board. And stuck onto here as a heatsink would be my guess, but I can't really tell. But I'd assume that's how it works. That this circuit board back here has some attachment to this big metal outer ring that acts as the heatsink. But I think that's as far apart as it's going to get. We have the two little contacts down here that connect to the HP batteries. It must just be like send some signal out to the battery through these. There's no current or anything that's going to run through those weenie wires. So it just must tell the battery, hey, you're in a brushless tool, put out more juice. Which seems kind of weird. Why don't they just make the battery put out more juice in any one of their tools? But whatever, I guess they want to keep their brushless tools a step ahead of the brush tools. So their routing is pretty good. There's no, sometimes you'll see that they're pinched, although that's a pretty sharp bend down in there. It's got a pretty sharp bend to it. Sometimes you'll see when they put the case together, they'll pinch a wire, but that's not the case here, at least not that I can see. So there's just planetary set after planetary set. So there's this upper one here, and this lever slides the ring and locks those outer gears, and that will change the thing. And I'm going to put this back together again before everything falls to pieces. Oh God. Why? Now the case won't go back down. The way it's hitting something. I gotta take this upper piece out. Case won't go back down. The way it's hitting something. I gotta take this upper piece out. Not lose all the little gears. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so these planets aren't lining up with the teeth. There we go. So now those are lined up. So yeah, there's planets here, planets there. I'm not going to take this the rest of the way apart. I like my drill. It's planetary gear set. Nothing particularly exciting in there so far. All powder metal gears with a fairly standard PA6 glass fiber reinforced outside. See, yes, that good. Switch still works. Let's see. Here goes back on. Notice as the gears got in closer to the chuck, they got chunkier, which makes sense because on the outside here they're running at higher RPM, so they need to transmit less torque to get the same amount of power. So, but on the inside, if they're doing the same amount of power, they need to be more torque. So let's see if we can get this the rest of the way back together again. So I was wrong about this just being held together by the case. There's a tab, you turn, oh god, and it locks in. So turn and it locks in, you unturn and it comes out. But now I need to put that gear set back together. Alright. That comes apart the same way, the turn and unlock. This one has, let's focus. So this has 6 gears and the other one had 4. Let's see. Ring gear. Same setup where yeah, since the other one almost exploded with gears everywhere, I'm going to leave this, but looking at that same powdered gears, the gears look similar quality, but it is interesting that, oh, there's 5. Sorry, not 6. Huh, counting. So, yeah, there's 5 gears on here, and the other one had 4. So, it's interesting because the other one had more torque. So more torque through less gears. So conclusions, new versus old. Well, it's clear the new has more power, it's lighter. It just is initially, performance-wise, it's a better package. Longevity-wise, they both are a little bit questionable. The ABS plastic is more breakable, although I have not broken a case on one of these. We have had MOSFETs go in the trigger switches. My dad has a bunch of these Ryobi drills, although not in this style. The green ones had the old blue ones. Those have gone, and the chucks have gone, and the switches have gone, the trigger switches. But the motors are okay. So, yeah, slightly questionable build quality on the inside. ABS definitely built to a price, but performance-wise, for $40, this is quite the deal. It's not going to last you forever. If you're somebody who really works their tools hard, you're going to let the smoke out not paying attention. Like, I noticed that smoke was coming out and smelled a little funny, so I stopped. Had I kept going, I bet I could have completely smoked this motor using that big drill bit, and but I'm aware of that sort of thing. I'm sensitive to it. If you hand this to somebody, big, a gorilla's, drill holes, big holes with this, you're going to burn this up. It just gets so hot. This one you actually probably wouldn't burn up as readily, although maybe you would, because it's going to stall and you keep starting. But this one will keep going and letting the smoke out. Yeah, I'm definitely impressed with the power of this little guy. It's a powerful little package. It would be nice to have a handle off to the side for some of the torque, but really, you're going to overheat the motor if you're drilling something that really requires that side handle. So, this actually probably has more power than what it should for this size package, at least with the HP batteries. But as long as you're aware of that, and stop when you start smelling that nice toasty smell. So this is the first of the individual reviews for the Ryobi Brushless tools. If you want to make sure you catch the rest of the series, you can subscribe. I'm going to test out. So the brushless drill is the first in the series of individual reviews of the 3-pack kit I got. So subscribe if you want to see the other two. I have the impact driver and the brushless saw. I've tested both of these a little bit and pretty impressed with the results, although I haven't taken apart the impact driver yet, though I suspect it's, you know, the same old story. Well, if you like this video, I hope you'd consider subscribing to my channel. I don't have very many subscribers right now, so any little bit will be a great help to the channel. So if you really like the channel and want to support me, I have a Patreon account set up. And if you don't want to do that, I hope you'd at least consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks.